The Trump administration makes its clearest threat yet to sanctuary cities. Next knows why Denver shouldn't sweat it. Not yet. We set out to verify just how much crime is really committed by people here illegally. A word about pictures of the Supreme Court and how it operates. We go in search of the Colorado accent, if such a thing exists. And I reveal another reason that this is why they hate us. Next. Today, the Trump administration is putting sanctuary cities on notice that they could lose billions of dollars in Justice Department grants for not cooperating with immigration officials. This does not impact Denver. But Denver's a sanctuary city, you say, according to something you read on the internet or a guy on the radio or your uncle's email chain. But what Attorney General Jeff Sessions threatened to do today would not apply to Denver, only to cities that refuse to share immigration information with the feds.
I strongly urge our nation's states and cities and counties to consider carefully the harm they are doing to their citizens by refusing to enforce our immigration laws and to rethink these policies.
This defunding threat is being made squarely against cities like New York and San Francisco, which take a more adversarial position toward immigration enforcement than Denver does. Today, leaders from those cities met in New York to plan strategy for the fight ahead. And Denver City Councilman Paul Lopez joined that meeting. He wants Denver to take a more aggressive approach to protecting people who are living here illegally, even if that means risking some federal funding.
What they are consistently doing is drawing targets on cities. So it doesn't matter what action we take. It's obvious that they have it out for a whole handful of cities.
The Hancock administration has not shown any interest in officially putting Denver in that hardcore sanctuary city crowd, along with San Francisco, Los Angeles, New York. But the Hancock administration is joining a court challenge to the Trump administration's general threat to withhold funding. So tonight, Aurora City Council debates whether Aurora wants to be associated with the term sanctuary city. Aurora, of course, celebrates its immigrant population, but it has also not looked to provoke the feds either. The city's announcement for tonight's public meeting, we noted, came in 7 languages: English, Spanish, Arabic, Somali, Nepali, Burmese, and Amharic. I had to look that last one up. That's what they speak in Ethiopia. The city says those are the 7 languages most commonly spoken within Aurora, and there are translators at tonight's discussion. So it seems a lot of the debate over illegal immigration centers on the suggestion that people here illegally increase the crime rate. Emails have rolled in recently accusing 9 News of refusing to report on an alleged rape in Maryland involving suspects who are in this country illegally. 9 News did report on that case when it drew national attention. But back to the larger picture here, as our Anastasia Bolton sets out to verify whether people here illegally are a significant source of crime.
We're sort of playing the same show over and over again. For centuries, Americans have complained about immigrants in every way that you've heard it today.
Take it from an expert. The feeling some of you may have about people here illegally wreaking havoc and causing violent crimes is just that, a feeling. Statistics assembled by any number of think tanks and studies don't support it.
When we take a look at the incarceration rates for illegal immigrants in the United States, we find that their rate is about half that as it is for native-born Americans.
Alexander Narasta is an immigration policy analyst at a libertarian think tank called the Cato Institute.
When you exclude immigration offenses, so just if somebody is in jail just for breaking immigration laws, and focus only on those who are incarcerated for actually violent and property offenses, the illegal immigrant incarceration rate is 0.5%. which is much less than what it is for native-born Americans at 1.53%.
In 2013, Northwestern University tried to understand the impact of immigration on crime. That study from Northwestern specifically found that Mexican immigrants are statistically more likely to commit more property crimes than U.S. citizens. But the same study concluded that immigration overall does not increase crime. There are many questions on how to solve the illegal immigrant issue, anywhere from mass deportation to amnesty and more liberal visa programs that could minimize illegal immigration.
Public policy should be based on big data and facts from many different circumstances and should not be based on individual crimes, no matter how horrific they are.
With Verify, I'm Anastasia Bolton.
Anastasia's Verify report, we should note, was not based on other news organizations' work or published opinions. It was our own research, looking for the hard numbers, and you can review our work and our sources in this article on 9news.com or on the next Facebook page. So those are the facts, the numbers. Now here's my view. Next, and 9 News don't shy away from reporting on the crimes committed by people here illegally. This program broke the story of Ever Valles, who left the Denver jail before he could be deported and was later charged with murder. Perhaps the people demanding that a local news station in Colorado cover a crime out of Maryland were truly concerned about the alleged rape victim. But we don't get those same emails about the other 300,000 some rapes and sexual assaults each year, the ones that don't serve to advance a political agenda. CU Regents just wrapped up an all-day meeting about the investigation into the CU football program. They're going through the report into CU's handling of the domestic abuse allegations against the former defensive coach Joe Tumpkins. He was arrested in January, charged with assault. Court documents suggest that his girlfriend reported abuse to the head coach, Mike McIntyre. Regents say the report is detailed. They have a lot of questions, and they're not talking at this point about whose job might be at stake, or also a timeline for their decision making. They came out just a short time ago and said they're trying to work through this as quickly as possible. A man who sat across this very desk 2 weeks ago talking about running for state attorney general has decided against it. Boulder District Attorney Stan Garnett filed paperwork in case that he launched a campaign. Today there was a failure to launch. Not so much a failure, just a decision, Garnett says. A decision that he and his staff feel they have too many important projects going on for him to be distracted by an 18-month-long campaign. So we had to ask, does that also rule out joining the Democratic primary for governor then?
No. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to chuckle at that. No, I'm not. I can tell you that if the concern is, as it is, that running a statewide campaign would be a distraction to the work I've been elected to do here, a statewide campaign for governor would certainly not be any better than a statewide campaign for attorney general.
So the state of the AG's race remains just Democratic State Representative Joe Salazar, who joined us here after announcing his campaign earlier this month, and the Republican incumbent, Attorney General Cynthia Kaufman, in it unless she runs for governor. All right, gotta ask, is the A-line working today? If you're going on spring break, you don't need a broken plane, train, or any of those things. Next viewer Melissa Turner tweets, yes, A-line's working today, and it's awesome. And the A-line got a software reboot over the weekend. Literally, it was down for maintenance, which we told you about, and they decided to toss in this software update, the one that Windows has bugged all of us about, apparently, so they didn't have any additional impact on riders. Students applying to CU Boulder may soon be asked to disclose their sexual orientation. University leaders say the question on the application would be voluntary and it would not impact a student's chances at admission. They say it would help CU better serve that community. The GLBT Community Center of Colorado supports the idea, told us it would be a good way to help support LGBT students. Same initials, different order, same meaning.
It's not going to be complete information because some students won't want to self-identify themselves. Also, some students don't necessarily have a full understanding of their sexual orientation until they've been in college for a couple of years. So it won't be perfect, but it's at least a start.
Elmhurst College in Illinois was the first college in America to ask about sexual orientation on its application for admission. Dozens of other schools followed suit. If Judge Neil Gorsuch of Colorado is confirmed to join the U.S. Supreme Court, we won't get to see him work. And our Jeremy Hohola thinks there's something wrong with that.
Anytime a major decision comes down from the Supreme Court, it seems as if it suddenly appears out of the blue from some obscure faraway island inhabited by people in black robes. I often see the court not as 9 human justices, but as this monolithic agency, a silent, stoic machine that is making some seriously impactful decisions on our lives. This is the one major branch of government that has long avoided cameras. The American public is largely kept in the dark from how the justices come to their decisions. A 2014 survey found 3/4 of Americans favor cameras in the Supreme Court. Even some justices and nominees have been open to the idea. Of course, there is the fear that putting a camera in a courtroom can potentially turn the Supreme Court into the People's Court. However, it is a court that serves more than 300 million people. 9 of them should be able to be seen on the job.
This week is going to make us miss the sun. Trust me or trust a meteorologist. Harder to forecast what it means to talk like you're from Colorado.
If you ask a linguist, they would say yes, there is a Colorado accent. Everybody in the United States speaks in a unique local way.
And you were all right about what was going to happen when they removed the target rock. Next.
Our next question comes from a Colorado transplant with a thick Midwestern accent. You know him as my friend Steve Stager, and Steve wondered whether Coloradans have an accent. Steve's in the business of getting answers for you, and today he got one for himself.
I'm Steve Stager, a Michigander by birth. Couldn't you tell from my nasally accent? I drink pop, drive a car, color with crayons. And I grew up thinking I don't have an accent. People from other places talk funny. Boy, was I wrong. But it got me thinking recently, are native Coloradans just like me? Do they really have an accent but think they don't?
If you ask a linguist, they would say yes, there is a Colorado accent. Everybody in the United States speaks in a unique local way.
That's Andrew Cowell, the director of the linguistics department at CU. He says if you talk to folks on the street, they'll say there is no Colorado accent because Coloradans don't have a distinctive sound like that wicked Boston accent or a southern drawl.
If you look at the U.S. and the accent map, there's kind of bands that go across the country. So there's an upper north, a lower north, an upper south, and a lower south. And all of those have distinctive features. And then if you look at these maps that linguists have done, the West is a big chunk. The bands stop.
That, Cowell says, has a lot to do with agriculture.
Where we are, the settlement was not based on farming. It was based on mining, and then it was based on transportation and things like that. And so all these people mixed in together in Colorado.
Though, he says recently, the way we talk has been influenced by a new trend.
It's called the California vowel shift. The first thing that happened in probably about the 1980s in California was that the word cot, like the thing you sleep on, and caught, like I got caught by the cops or something like that, those words merged. And so cot is either I got caught or I was on a cot. If you are in Colorado and you're younger than about 40, you will probably use cot. The word will be the same. If you talk to your grandparents here in Colorado, they will likely still be making a distinction between cot and caught.
Same thing with the word bit. It's starting to sound like bet, and bet is transforming to bat. But that's mainly in the Front Range. There are some local aspects to Colorado's accent.
One example is the word coyote. That's a Colorado, Wyoming kind of pronunciation. And if you come from the east, you're much more likely to say coyote.
In the name of the state, Cowell says people who aren't from here tend to say Colorado.
Local Coloradoans will say Colorado if they were raised here.
Debate away, but rest assured, native Coloradan, all of us who talk a little funny are jealous of you. For Next, I'm Steve Stager.
Steve's linguistic guy says Colorado's relative age has an impact. English-speaking settlers came to Colorado about 150 years ago. They were on the East Coast 400 years ago. And he says that all the transplants moving here will delay the evolution of a Colorado accent.
The season, spring, finally underway, and some interesting weather to finally talk about. A shift in the weather pattern that is bringing in a series of weather makers off the Pacific right into the western U.S. and into Colorado. Storms that'll bring some beneficial moisture in the form of rain for some areas, snow for others. Winding around two areas of low pressure, we have snow already beginning across western Colorado. A host of advisories. The winter weather advisories go out for the high country for about 5 to 10 inches of snow. That starts tonight. Areas west and south of the city will go under a winter storm watch tomorrow for about 2 to 5 inches of wet, sloppy snow here by the time you wake up on Wednesday morning. Areas north, again, it'll be a trace or all rain, a very similar storm to the last one coming in. All that counterclockwise flow bringing that moisture up from the southwest and not a ton of cold air support. So tomorrow it's going to be scattered light rain showers, but those areas in yellow, that's heavy rain, even some thunder and lightning. It looks like it'll be tomorrow night into Wednesday morning when we see the rain change over to snow. Tonight, just a few light showers, a mild low close to 40 in the city. Scattered showers off and on tomorrow. Not a rain out by any stretch, but it definitely signs that things are changing. The heavier rain tomorrow night changing to snow Wednesday morning. Storms out of here, a little lull in the action, and it is the weekend storm that is drawing my attention with cold air support. This could be a bigger storm for us on Saturday, and that could mean not only more moisture, but maybe some heavy wet snow.
you, Kathy. The most Colorado thing we saw today is a guy, and he's not a Colorado native. But Sean Horn's work is undeniably Colorado. He paints the mountain scenes around Crested Butte and Telluride. Sean will spend 4 hours each day painting, and then he'll return to the same spot day after day until he finishes his work. About 30 to 40 hours per painting, planted in a single spot, admiring our state's beauty.
If you're trying to catch a viewer, media outlets have decided the best clickbait is a whole giraffe. I think this is why they hate us. And if you remove the rock, yes, people will just smash into something else. Next. Tens of millions of Americans are transfixed by the defining story of 2017. Russian meddling in our election? Of course not. Threat of ISIS terrorists? No, can't be bothered. America is enthralled by the reproductive functions of a single giraffe. As we in the media trip over ourselves to get you to click the headline and stare for a few hours at a giraffe that's been about to give birth for a month now. And this is why they hate us. First off, at this point, the giraffe video feed is just a commercial for Toys R Us. There's a logo in the corner that we'd have to show you, so we're not going to use it. Just stock photos instead. Giraffes like April. Please note, some of these may be male giraffes. I can't tell the difference. But click-hungry media outlets are counting on everybody not being able to tell the difference between a giraffe that's about to give birth and one that might be a few weeks away. U.S. Magazine. Pregnant April the giraffe has notable bulges on her side. What does that mean? She's pregnant. Britain's Express. Zookeepers get excited as April has significant mammary change. Show me one other socially acceptable use of the phrase significant mammary change. 8 on Your Side's doing a little investigative journalism. The difference between labor in humans and giraffes. I would bet one difference is that a baby giraffe comes out. April looks large. April the giraffe's belly growth is mind-blowing. Baby is sticking out. And the headline to end all headlines. Zookeepers say April agitated as giraffe baby watch continues. Why do you suppose that is, folks? This is why they hate us.
So it turns out you were totally right about the target rock. You all knew that if the boulder that kept catching cars at the Colorado Mills Mall in Lakewood were removed, the drivers would just hit something else. And a few of you asked us to return to the spot where the rock used to high center vehicles daily to confirm this theory. So now there are warning sticks on the median, and the fact that a number of them are demolished indicates that that median is still unfairly jumping out in front of drivers who are paying complete and total attention. If a group of high schoolers from Colorado were to get in trouble on a school trip overseas, that would make the news. It usually doesn't make news when local kids head abroad, represent Colorado well, and return home happy. But I've been told the problem with Next is that it's not like the normal news. So I suppose that's why we are allowed to give a shout out to the Grandview High Performing Arts Department on a one-week tour of Europe. Proud grandparent alert. Lauren and Betty Lung told us about the trip. Their grandson Nick is in the school choir, and they shared these photos with us. Good on you, kids. Appreciate the way you're representing Colorado, and enjoy your trip. It is a sign, one that parents with extra pennies in their pockets will appreciate. We'll have that and your feedback next. It's a sign that a horse is not in the mood for a ride right now, perhaps feeling just a bit under the weather. Barbara Gardner snapped this photo of a broken horse ride at the King Supers on Smoky Hill in Aurora. The sign says, "We apologize for the inconvenience." They mean inconvenience, but we get what's going on here. The horse is sick, so bottom line, kids, find another ride. And parents, you just saved yourselves a quarter. A note from Jim Rogers in our feedback segment tonight about our discussion verifying whether people in this country illegally commit more crime. Jim writes, if someone is here illegally, then they've already committed a crime. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Illegally entering the country, that is a misdemeanor. But a lot of people come here legally, overstay a visa, and their mere presence is not a criminal offense. We'll see you next time.